Hi, welcome again. It's nice being here again. In previous lessons, we've seen how to print to the console by typing things into a string or by literals. Then we call the print function and we print to the console. We've also seen what literals are, and we've also gone through the basic arithmetic operators in Python. In today's video, we'll be looking at variables. What are variables? What they can do? What are keywords? What are variable names? And the ideal variable names and how to use variables. All right. So let's get started, and we'll say what are variables. Variables, for now, I want to see it as a kind of a box that has the ability to contain an object, meaning it is a kind of a container that can contain data. All right, but in Python we say variables are names that has or can contain a value. Just as you can see here, we said it is a name and a value. That is variable. All right, so there are some strict rules to follow when naming a variable. The very first thing is that it must be composed of either uppercase or lowercase or digits and the character underscore, or a mixture of all of these things. But then remember, I would mention this ahead. Why we said digits, your variable should not be a digit. Yeah, so they must compose of uppercase, lowercase. Then you can then mix it up with digits or the character underscore. All right. So variables must begin with a letter, and the underscore, in this case the character underscore, is classified or seen as a letter in Python. So don't see it as a character now, you see it as a letter. So that means you can start your variable name with an underscore. All right. While Python is allows you to use uppercase and lowercase, please note that the uppercase and the lowercase are different, such that if you have something like Monty Python, where the M, the first Monty, we have the capital, and this one is a lowercase m, they are not the same. And we have this other one as all capital or true. They are not the same. These three variables are not the same. They are completely different, and that is because they are saved in binaries, and the lowercase m has a different character number when compared with the uppercase m. They have different binary numbers in Python. And please note that in a variable, when naming a variable, you cannot have space in between them, and a variable must not be a Python's reserved word. Python's reserved word. What are Python reserved words? Python reserved words are special words in Python that already have meaning. They have been predefined and cannot and should not be changed in any way. Right, so by the time you're downloading your Python, they are already there, such as the print function as we're using earlier on, or the print function. And remember, we said Python is case sensitive. So when you write capital P and you have the print number, so we say we've seen where we've used the print function in several cases where we print I am me. Sorry. All right. So we can run our Python 5 by saying Python not. Yeah, you see, print I am me. So if I should change this P to capital P, it won't run. You see, it is already showing an error. So by the time I run this code, you see, it says that print is not defined because, like I mentioned, Python is case sensitive. The capital P changes the whole meaning for print. So the lowercase print, all lowercase print is a keyword in Python, which is different from this print, and it is also different from this print. All right. So as you could see on the screen, these are the list of keywords in Python, and you cannot use them any other way as a variable name. Please note that. And yes. All All right, so we'll move on to variable names and just see some samples of variable names. Here I've shown you some samples where we have exchange rates, counter, T for 34I, this is to Christmas, my name, and this. So while all of these are all acceptable variable names, but then they are not convenient, such that, for instance, look at this I. What is I? What am I representing as I? In Python, you're expected to write code that will be readable to you in the next 4 months, and if you are not even there, it should be readable to other people that will be using the application in the future. So it should be explanatory, self-explanatory by itself. You see, T34 doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Days to Christmas makes sense, but it seems too long, and you could make a mistake while trying to type days to Christmas. Yeah, but then it's still acceptable. And why we have this guy too, or just underscore. Underscore is not convenient. It's just the same way as saying this I. It doesn't have any meaning per se. So it is advised that you use names that are self-explanatory, where when anybody sees, you'll be able to see that, oh, this is what this variable is doing here. So in Python, you're not allowed to use a variable that does not exist, such that if you are trying to do print, let's say print, like the example we saw when we're treating literal, when I said print C, or let me say age, yeah, print age. So if I try to print this age, you see it says that age is not defined. So let me try to it won't work because age has not been defined. All right, so we'll move on to how to use variable. So the very first thing I would like us to see this example here. We have var equals to 1 and all of this. So let us just have a little taste of that. We have var equals 1. I would say let's have something like account balance. Yeah, account balance equals 1000.0. Then we have client name equals John Doe. We have then you can then print account balance, and I can print my client name. All right, so what does this do? What does this do? What does this do? So in our print function here, you see that there is nothing in quote, as in a quote to say, oh, this is a print, this is a string argument. Unlike the normal way we've been seeing before, now we have something like print and we have a quote, either an apostrophe or the double quote like this. But for this case, let me just use an apostrophe, and we have, say, let's say print name. Right, so if I should remove this lower part and I run this code, I expect the Python code to print just print name. Let me put this here. I say save, run this here, print this name. As you can see, print this name, it's printing that. All right, now so let me return this. So now I wish to print the value that this name is holding. Remember, a variable is a name with a value. So I wish to print the value in var, and I wish to print the value in account balance, and I wish to print the value in name. So this is how to do that. So if I want to do for just one, I could easily call one, but for this case I'm printing the value of VAL, account balance, and client. So if I should run this and let's see, you see I have one because that is what is inside var, and you see there is a space in between. Remember, there is a separator. The separator argument is also a keyword argument, remember, which is always a space by default, an empty space by default. So that is why you notice a space in between all of these key arguments. All right, so the other one, we have 1000.0, which is account balance, and the third one is the client name, which is John Doe, and we have John Doe here. All right, so the same way we can print everything like this. If I wish, or if I want, I might just be interested in printing, let's say, the client's name. Yeah, I could just say print, let's say, oh sorry, that would not be in Yeah, you would have seen a difference now. We are not putting anything inside quotes this time. I say print client name, I run my code. We see we have John Doe here. So what I was mentioning earlier, if I say print age, if this variable has not been declared, it will return an error. As you can see, name age is not declared. So if I want age to be printed to my console, I can declare age and say age equals 21, and I run this code. Yeah, so we have 21 printed out to the console. All right. So from our examples again, I will see, yeah, we have this. So let's show what this means. All right, so in Python, it is very possible for you to print, let me say version 3.10.5. All right, so remember that is a string. I'm saving a string inside the variable. Yeah, so you could save any kind of data inside the variable. All the kind of data that I've mentioned. We have the boolean, we have booleans are just true or false, we have the integers, we have the floats, we have the strings. You could save them inside the variable, and that yeah, you could also save objects, but for now we are keeping it low key, and yeah, let's flow with this for now. So for now I'm saving a string because, as you can see, this is a quote, this is a double quote here, and anything inside the quote is a string. So this is a string, I'm saving it inside version, and I want to print. So this time I'll be printing uh, two different arguments in my I'll be using two different arguments in my print function. The first one is a string argument. As you can see, they are in quotes, print version, and I say plus, instead of using a comma, I say plus var. All right, sorry, version. All right, so what this does is it print this string argument out, which is print version, then concatenates it with this other string. Now this addition here is used with strings. That means you could concatenate strings together with a plus. We'll still talk about string operations. We'll introduce you to string operations I think in the not the next class, but very soon. We'll introduce you to string operations where you can where you see what this does and how it works. So in this case, I'm adding two different strings. Remember, version is a string, and this is also a string. By the time I run this code, it prints the Python version, which is inside this string argument, and the version, and this variable called version, and what is inside version, I have 3.10, and that is what is printed out here. All right, so let's try out this before we wrap out of this video. So we have something like this. This is a story, an interesting one. All right, please take your seat while I sip this water. All right, listen to my story. John had 3 apples, Mary had 5 apples, and Adam had 6 apples. They were all very happy and lived for a long time. That is the end of my story. All right, so our task in this from this story is that we should create and assign values to the variables using the story above. And yes, that is what we'll love to do. All right. Without wasting much of our time, we go straight to creating and assigning values to the variables in the story above. Remember, we have John. We said John. Let me just write a random comment. We said John had 3 apples. Mary had 5 apples. Adam had 6 apples. All right, so they all live together happily after. Apples. Yeah, sorry. What's this? Yeah. Oh, sorry. It's apples, not applying. Sorry. I don't want you. Yeah. Out. apply. Yeah. All right, let me comment them out, please. Thank you. You're out, out, out. All right. So this is our story here, and they all lived happily ever after. So we are to create and assign values to the variables using the story above. So what are these? This is the story above, and we should create and assign variable. We should create and assign values to the variable. So I think I can create a variable named John, and the value that will be going there is the number of apples that John or Mary or Adam has. So I can start with John and say John is my first variable, and the value that will be going here is the number of apples that John has, 3. Now we could be creating another one, Mary, and I will say that the number of apples Mary had is 5. So I'll say 5 there, and I have Adam, and I can save 6 here. Alright, before we continue, these are variables, so as not to mix them, so I'll use small letter or true. Alright, so this is our story, and we've done the very first task. Now the second task that we are asked to do is to create a new variable named total apples, which is equal to addition of the 3 former variables. Alright, not a problem. So we'll create a new variable called total apples, then equal to the addition of the 3 former variables, which is the addition of John. We say John plus Mary, then plus Adam. That's it. All right, let's see. We've done that. We've created a new variable, which is the addition of the former 3 variables. Then we say print the value stored in total apples to the console. Yeah, the value here, and we should print it such as so that it will print something like this: total number of apples. Then we print the total number of apples. So we'll be using our print function here by saying print open brackets into the quotes. This is a string. We say total number of apples, then this guy a column, and we call the variable total apples. All right. Okay. Sorry, I need to add this. Alright, total apples, then a save, and let's see if we have a code running. Enter. Yeah, we got an error, and what was the error? It says that type error can only concatenate string, and yes. So here, instead of using a plus, I'll be using a comma. And the reason why this I propose to use the plus is because remember I said for string you could concatenate them with a plus where you have 2 strings, but this case total apples is not a string, it's an integer, so you cannot concatenate with a string. So instead I'll be using a comma here. So even if they are both string I could still use a comma, but for this case let me use I'll just use a comma, and we should be good after running this case. Yes, and so it was very good. Let me run again. Right, so we have total number of apples 14. That is the end of our story. All right, thank you so much for listening. That so we have a test here that I would want you to do just to get yourself involved, so you get to see what and how to go about and getting yourself familiar with variables and print function. All right, so we'll be seeing you in the next video, which will be talking more about inputs and maybe string operators. See you next class. Thank you so much.